Have you ever wondered why some women become more attentive, emotionally vulnerable, or even desperate when you pull away or go silent? It's easy to assume that this behavior is rooted in superficial games or manipulation, but the truth is far deeper and more psychological than that. To truly understand this dynamic, we need to go beyond the clichés and explore what distancing triggers in the human mind, particularly within the context of emotional connection and attraction. At its core, this reaction is not unique to women. It's a deeply human response tied to two primal forces, the fear of loss and the need for validation. Distancing yourself creates uncertainty, a powerful emotional catalyst that activates feelings of insecurity, self-reflection, and even obsession. For women who are often socialized to value connection and emotional intimacy more acutely, this can be amplified. However, this reaction is not about weakness or irrationality. It's about biology, psychology, and social conditioning intersecting. Here's what really happens: the psychological impact of absence. When someone who was once emotionally available suddenly withdraws, it creates an emotional vacuum. The brain seeks to resolve this uncertainty by focusing more on the person who has distanced themselves. It's not the absence that hurts, it's the unanswered question of why. The principle of scarcity. Humans value what seems out of reach. By stepping back or ignoring someone, you subconsciously signal that your time and attention are limited resources. This taps into the principle of scarcity, making you appear more desirable and leaving the other person chasing after what feels scarce. Validation and ego. For both genders, being ignored can challenge one's sense of self-worth. For women, especially those who may be used to receiving attention, this can feel like a personal rejection. The need to regain validation can drive behaviors that appear desperate, but in reality are efforts to restore emotional balance, emotional contrast. Relationships thrive on a mix of emotional highs and lows. When you create distance, you're introducing a contrast that makes moments of reconnection feel even more rewarding. Understanding this dynamic isn't about manipulation, it's about recognizing the natural rhythms of attraction and connection. For men, this highlights the importance of emotional independence. For women, it's a reminder to question whether the need to bridge the distance comes from genuine feelings or the discomfort of uncertainty. Here are what you should know when women get desperate. When you distance yourself and ignore them, the power of uncertainty in human behavior. Uncertainty has a unique ability to grab our attention and hold it captive. It's not just a psychological quirk, it's a deeply rooted survival mechanism. In relationships, uncertainty plays an especially intriguing role. When someone distances themselves or ignores us, it creates an emotional void, leaving us wondering, what happened? Did I do something wrong? Do they still care? This constant questioning is what makes uncertainty so powerful. Our brains are wired to seek clarity and closure, and when we don't get it, we fixate on the situation even more. It's like being left in the middle of a story with no ending. Our natural curiosity drives us to obsess until we feel some sort of resolution. Now let's break this down with an example. Imagine you're texting someone and they suddenly stop replying. At first, you might think they're probably busy, but as hours go by with no response, you start overthinking. Are they mad? Are they losing interest? Your mind fills in the blanks, often with negative assumptions, which increases your anxiety and focus on that person. For women, this effect can be amplified in romantic relationships. Emotional connection is often a central aspect of how women bond and build intimacy. So when that connection is disrupted by someone pulling away, it creates a sense of imbalance. The uncertainty forces them to replay interactions, analyze every detail, and, in some cases, take action to restore the connection. Here's why it works. Uncertainty activates a psychological principle called the Zeigarnik effect, the tendency to remember incomplete tasks better than completed ones. When someone distances themselves, the emotional connection feels incomplete, keeping the person top of mind. But this isn't exclusive to women or romantic situations. Uncertainty can affect anyone. Think about the last time you waited for an important email or result. The lack of clarity likely consumed your thoughts and emotions even more than the result itself. In relationships, this power can be constructive or destructive. While a little mystery can spark attraction and curiosity, too much uncertainty can create insecurity or frustration. Understanding this balance is key. The lesson: uncertainty, when used unintentionally or deliberately, isn't about playing games. It's about understanding how our minds naturally respond to emotional ambiguity. The role of scarcity in attraction. Dynamics. Scarcity is one of the most powerful forces in attraction, but not for the reasons most people think. It's not just about playing hard to get or being unavailable. It's about how the human brain assigns value. When something feels rare or difficult to obtain, our mind perceives it as more desirable. But why? And how does this apply to relationships? Let's start with a simple idea. We are hardwired to pursue what feels limited. In nature, scarce resources like food, water, or shelter were essential for survival. This instinct didn't vanish. It evolved and began influencing how we value everything, including people's attention and affection. Imagine you're shopping and you see two shirts. One is available in abundance, while the other is labeled limited edition. Which one feels more special? Chances are you'll lean toward the limited option, not because it's necessarily better, but because its rarity gives it perceived value. The same principle applies to relationships. In the context of attraction, when someone distances themselves or becomes less available, they are subconsciously signaling that their attention is a limited resource. This scarcity makes us stop and think, why can't I have this right now? The more we can't have something, the more we want it. It's less about manipulation and more about how our brains process availability versus exclusivity. However, there's an interesting twist. Scarcity doesn't just make people chase, it also makes them reflect. When someone is less available, it forces the other person to ask questions. Do I value them enough to pursue them? Am I overlooking their worth? This introspection often deepens emotional investment because it creates a moment of realization about how much they want to keep that connection. But scarcity isn't just about being unavailable, it's about balance. If you overuse it, you risk coming across as indifferent, which can push someone away entirely. On the other hand, using scarcity thoughtfully, by having your own life, setting boundaries, and not being overly available, sends a message that your time and energy are valuable. In essence, scarcity in attraction isn't about playing games, it's about living with purpose and showing others that your presence is meaningful. That genuine value is what makes people want more of what feels rare. Fear of losing status in the relationship. In every relationship, whether romantic or platonic, there is an unspoken sense of status or position we hold. This status isn't about dominance or power, it's about how secure and valued we feel in the connection. When distance or a sudden shift in behavior occurs, it can trigger a fear of losing that status, creating anxiety, overthinking, and even desperate attempts to restore balance. For women, this fear often manifests in emotional terms. Women are frequently socialized to prioritize connection and relational harmony, which means their sense of status in a relationship often ties to emotional closeness and intimacy. If their partner pulls away or becomes distant, it can feel like their standing in the relationship is being questioned. Questions like, "Am I not enough?" or "What changed?" start to surface, driving a need to regain stability. For men, the fear of losing status often takes on a different form, such as feeling inadequate as a provider or protector in the relationship. While men might not always express this fear directly, they can become withdrawn, defensive, or even overcompensate to reclaim their sense of importance. But here's where it gets interesting. Both genders can misinterpret these fears as a sign of failure rather than a natural response to uncertainty. The truth is, fear of losing status is deeply human and signals that we care about the relationship. However, the way we react to this fear matters greatly. For women, when you feel your status in the relationship is slipping, resist the urge to act out of desperation or insecurity. Instead, ask yourself, am I reacting to a real issue, or am I responding to my fear of being undervalued? Open communication is key. Express how you feel without blaming your partner. For example, say, "I've noticed some distance, and it's making me feel unsure. Can we talk about it?" This approach strengthens the bond instead of creating unnecessary tension. For men, understand that withdrawing or becoming overly focused on fixing things to reclaim status can unintentionally widen the gap. Instead, address your emotions head-on. Ask yourself, am I afraid of not being good enough, or am I unsure of what's changing? Then share these thoughts with your partner. Vulnerability doesn't lower your status, it deepens trust. In the end, the fear of losing status is a signal to pause, reflect, and communicate. It's a chance to build a stronger connection by addressing insecurities together, rather than letting them drive you apart. The line between genuine desire and emotional reactivity. In relationships, it's easy to confuse genuine desire with emotional reactivity. Genuine desire comes from a place of love, respect, and authentic connection. Emotional reactivity, on the other hand, is driven by anxiety, fear, or the need to resolve an emotional imbalance. While they can feel similar in the moment, understanding the difference is critical for healthy relationships. Let's break it down. Genuine desire is proactive. It's about wanting to spend time with someone because they add value to your life. It feels calm, intentional, and fulfilling. You pursue the connection because it aligns with your deeper values and emotions. Emotional reactivity, however, is a knee-jerk response to discomfort. For example, if someone ignores you or creates distance, you might feel a sudden urge to chase them, not because you deeply want to, but because the emotional discomfort of their absence feels unbearable. This isn't about true desire, it's about trying to soothe your own feelings of rejection, insecurity, or uncertainty. For women, if you find yourself chasing someone who has distanced themselves, pause and ask, am I pursuing them because I genuinely value them, or am I reacting to the discomfort of being ignored? It's important to reflect on whether your actions come from a place of love or fear. True desire doesn't come from desperation. It comes from a sense of mutual respect and connection. If you're acting out of reactivity, focus on grounding yourself emotionally before making decisions about the relationship. For men often confuse the attention they get during emotional reactivity as genuine interest. If a woman seems desperate to reconnect after you create distance, it doesn't always mean she truly wants you. It could mean she's reacting to the discomfort of your absence. Ask yourself, am I mistaking her need for validation as proof of her feelings? Understanding this distinction can help you avoid misinterpreting emotional responses as deeper commitment. The key is to recognize when emotions are driving actions. Genuine desire feels steady and intentional, while emotional reactivity often feels urgent and chaotic. Both men and women must learn to separate these two forces by taking time to reflect before reacting. This clarity allows for healthier relationships where decisions are made from a place of love and respect, not emotional impulses. When you act from genuine desire, you build connections that last. Why distance can actually strengthen relationships. In a world where constant connection is the norm, the idea that distance can strengthen a relationship might seem counterintuitive. But the truth is, creating space, whether physical, emotional, or both, can actually deepen bonds and increase the quality of your connection. It's not about pulling away to manipulate, it's about creating a healthy balance that allows both partners to grow individually and together. First, distance fosters self-reflection and appreciation. When you step back, it allows both you and your partner to evaluate the relationship without the noise of constant interaction. It's in moments of absence that we often realize the value of someone's presence. You start to reflect on what they bring to your life, and they, in turn, begin to appreciate the unique qualities you contribute to theirs. Second, distance can reignite curiosity and excitement. When you're always together, routines can make the relationship feel predictable. But when you give each other space, it creates an air of mystery and anticipation. You have the chance to miss each other, to wonder what the other person is thinking or doing, and to look forward to reconnecting. This longing can reignite the spark that keeps attraction alive. Third, distance allows for personal growth. Relationships are healthiest when both individuals have their own lives, goals, and passions outside the partnership. By stepping back, you give yourself and your partner the opportunity to focus on personal development. This makes the relationship richer because you're bringing a fuller, more evolved version of yourself back to the connection. For women, understand that a man's need for space is not a sign of rejection. It's often his way of recentering and maintaining his independence. Giving him room shows confidence and trust, which makes your presence feel even more special. For men, when a woman seeks distance, it's not necessarily a signal that she's losing interest. Often, it's her way of reconnecting with herself. Respect her need for space, and when she comes back, the relationship will likely feel stronger and more balanced. Distance isn't about separation, it's about perspective. It creates room to appreciate each other, to grow individually, and to rekindle the excitement that makes relationships thrive. In healthy doses, distance isn't a threat, it's a tool for building a deeper, more meaningful connection. In relationships, the dynamics of distance, scarcity, and emotional responses all play crucial roles in shaping how we connect and maintain attraction. Understanding these concepts isn't about manipulation, it's about recognizing the natural rhythms of human behavior and learning how to navigate them in healthy, intentional ways. When someone distances themselves, it creates uncertainty and scarcity, which can heighten desire and focus. However, the key is to recognize whether your feelings are driven by genuine desire or emotional reactivity. Acting from a place of fear or insecurity often leads to desperation, while responding from a place of self-awareness fosters stronger, more authentic connections. Distance also has the power to strengthen relationships by allowing space for self-reflection, personal growth, and renewed appreciation. It's not about playing hard to get, it's about living a balanced life where your time and attention hold value. Ultimately, relationships thrive when both partners approach these dynamics with clarity and intention. For both men and women, the lesson is simple: create a connection based on mutual respect, self-worth, and genuine feelings. When you understand the deeper psychology of distance and scarcity, you're better equipped to build relationships that are healthy, fulfilling, and lasting. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and comment what you think about this. Keep embracing masculine approach to life.